Hello, and welcome to Platin with Patsy. I'm Patsy, and today I'm going to demonstrate the recipe for my homemade potato salad. Now, my family loves my potato salad, but I usually make about 15 pounds of potato salad or more for our family get-togethers. So I'm going to try to downscale this, and I've never really downsized a potato salad, so this is going to be a first for me. We'll see exactly how much ingredient of what we need as we go through the recipe. I'm not really going to know till I start slicing, dicing, and mixing, but I am going to show you what goes into this recipe before we start anything. So let me just move you down here so you can actually see. Okay, so first of all, we always have salt and pepper. I use hard-boiled eggs, and normally I'll put about a dozen to a dozen and a half of hard-boiled eggs in my recipe. Today I'm going to use about 6 hard-boiled eggs. I usually use red potatoes, and I usually fix 5 pounds of red potatoes boiled in the jackets. Today I have these russet white potatoes for baking. That's been in the refrigerator for a while, starting to show some signs of aging, so we're going to use them today. We'll boil them in their jackets because it adds a different flavor. When a potato is baked cooked in its jacket, it has a whole different flavor from one that's peeled and boiled for mashed potatoes. So along with that, I usually use white onion, but today I have a red onion, and it's very large. And for this small batch, I'm not going to need that big of an onion. So we'll probably use about 2/3 of this. And it's probably going to be tough because, again, this has been in the refrigerator for a minute. So we'll probably have to lose some of that anyway because of the toughness. We're also going to use sweet pickles. I'll probably put about 6 sweet pickles. I usually put one of these. These are whole babies. I usually use one per boiled egg. And so when I'm making a big batch for the family, I would use the entire jar. Also going to use a couple tablespoons of the juice from these sweet pickles. We're going to use about 3 ribs off of this stalk of celery. I would normally use that whole stalk. We're also going to use Miracle Whip mayonnaise. I don't put any other mayonnaise in my potato salad except Miracle Whip. Now, I love Hellmann's real mayonnaise, but I like it on a sandwich or something like that. As far as the potato salads or deviled eggs or anything like that, it's Miracle Whip. And we're going to probably use about a cup, maybe a cup and a half of that. And then, of course, I like French's mustard, but it doesn't really matter. I can live with any mustard, as long as it's regular American yellow mustard. We're going to use probably 2 tablespoons. This is more to give it the yellow color, as well as just a little tang from the mustard. But basically, we're making a mayonnaise salad with a little mustard mixed in. We're also going to use celery seeds, and that really is a big thing in my potato salad. It makes the difference. I've been out of celery seed before and tried to pull potato salad off without using it. Doesn't even resemble my potato salad. So I'd say this is the big ingredient as far as getting the flavor that my family loves. So we'll be using that, and I'm not sure how much until we get slicing and dicing, and then I will let you know. So since we've gone over all the ingredients that'll go into the potato salad, I'm going to put you all on hold while I get some things organized, do some slicing and dicing. I can't see any sense in making you all watch me chop up stuff. So while I'm slicing, dicing, and boiling and cooking, I'm going to put you all on hold, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, I'm back. I finally got everything cooked, boiled, sliced, and diced. This dish is fairly easy to make, but it is time consuming. So we have our potatoes here ready to be diced up in the mixing bowl. I ended up using about 2/3 of that red onion and diced it up into small pieces, but I like a lot of onion. You need a lot of onion to make potato salad taste right. Here's 6 diced sweet pickles. Here is 6 diced and chopped hard-boiled eggs. And I ended up using about 2.5 ribs of the celery. The reason, I would have used more, but when I started cutting into the celery, a lot of it was tough and stringy, and you don't want tough and stringy in your potato salad. So I just picked out the best of it, trimmed it down, and chopped it up. So it's about 2.5 ribs is what we got. Now we're going to start mixing this stuff up. And if you'll look here, you'll see, as soon as I get this down here. Alrighty. So here we have a cup of mayonnaise. And this is about a quarter, a little less than a quarter of a cup of mustard, yellow mustard. And this is a little less than 1/8 of a cup of the sweet pickle juice. And this is about 1/2 of a teaspoon of celery seed. We're going to mix some of it into the potato salad, and then we're going to sprinkle some of it on top of the potato salad. Okay. Now I'm going to start mixing, and then we may have to, I saved all the ingredients out on the countertop here in case we have to add something that we don't have here. Because like I said, I've never made a small batch of this, so I don't know how it's going to come out. So with that being said, I'm just going to use this steak knife here to chop these potatoes up. Now these potatoes are still pretty hot, so we're probably going to slice them in two to get them cool down a little bit before we start actually trying. Ouch, yes, it is very warm. And I usually let them cool down a little bit more. But like I said, I usually use red potatoes. So you see how that potato is falling apart and kind of smushy when it's going in there? A red potato is firmer. It's more firm. That's why it's better in a salad. It holds its shape, stands up to the rest of the mixing, the slicing, and the dicing. And we're going to slice all this up in smaller pieces here, but I got to let it cool just a little bit. So while it's, to help it cool, I'm cutting it up. And then we'll just start with the pieces here. Alrighty, so one, about that size. You see, that's a little small, maybe even a little bigger than that, because we're going to smush this up with our hands when we get it, all the stuff in there. Kind of like a mashed potato texture goes. It helps to make your salad dressing, which is your mayonnaise, mustard, and sweet pickle juice, have a little bit more potato flavor. You know, the secret to all this is to making your flavors blend together. You don't want them to stand out separate. If you did, you could just separate them on a plate and eat them by themselves. So we definitely want them to mix up. So hopefully these potatoes will hold their shape once we get them cut enough for us to be able to find chunks of potatoes in there. And I don't think I'm going to have to do too much mushing because it's really, they're really, and it could have to do with the fact that these potatoes were old. Remember I said I was using white potatoes because I had these in the refrigerator and I wanted to get rid of them before they went bad. And my grandson's been on me wanting me to do the recipe for potato salad, which apparently he just thinks that's wonderful. I've been trying to get them all to come up here and help me cook some of these dishes on the holidays so that they could learn these recipes before something happens, because you never know. I'm not no spring chicken. Of course, I ain't ready to take a dirt nap either. Alrighty. But you just don't know. We don't really have a lot to say about that, do we? Ooh, what a morbid subject. Let's get off that. And let's continue on with these potatoes. Okay, so there's our base. I really think I need to let these potatoes cool down more before I start mixing, because I think they're just going to crumble into mashed potatoes if I don't. So I'm going to turn you back off, put you on pause, let you hold while these potatoes cool down. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Now I went ahead and just mixed the stuff in on top of the potatoes, because all those ingredients, as far as the celery, the onions, the sweet pickles, they're all cold. So that should help to cool it down. And I'm going to just stir it gently, however you say that word. It won't come out of my mouth, right? Not right now. And let it get started cooling down. So I didn't put any of the salad dressing potato salad dressing together yet. So we're going to hold off on that. We're going to put the pickle juice in. This is the sweet pickle juice. It was a little less than 1/8 of a cup, a little less than 1/4 of a cup of the mustard. Don't want to waste that. 1 cup of mayonnaise, and I'm pretty sure we're going to need more. Now, before I go in with my hand, I'm going to sprinkle some of the celery seed in there. Before, I already sprinkled a little bit of salt in there, and you just salt it to taste. I just sprinkled salt on top of it like I would if I was eating something on my plate. I'm going to try to stir it with this. It might be a little easier on those potatoes, and once we get it started and get it started being stirred, then I'll go in with my hands and do the rest of it. Okay, so I can see that the potatoes are starting to cool down a little bit because I can stir them and they're not completely trying to go to mashed potatoes on me. But I can also see we definitely need more mayo. So with that being said, I'm going to rinse off this contain thing here because this helps me to get the mayonnaise out. That jar's close to being empty. And it looks like, I'll go ahead and put it in the measuring cup just so you guys can see what we're using here. But I think we're going to have to use everything that's in this jar and maybe something extra. It's pretty much got all we got in there. So what we ended up with is that maybe another 1/2 cup, so that makes it a total so far of 1.5 cups. We'll see once I dump it in there if we're going to have to add some Hellmann's to this, which I hope not, but might have to. Maybe not. Okay, we might have enough in there. I'm going to go to the gloves now so I can actually get my hands in there. And one reason, my hands have been washed several times while I've been doing the dishes. However, one reason I'm going to put the gloves on is because I have fingernail polish on right now. And I never will forget when I was about 20 years old, I was making potato salad for Thanksgiving at my in-laws' house. They all wanted potato salad. And I had this red fingernail polish on. And when I went in to mix it, apparently the red fingernail polish flaked off in the potato salad. Not good. Not good. It was a real disaster. So that was the end of that. So if I'm wearing nail polish when I'm making potato salad or anything where I have to get in there with my hands, meatloaf, potato salad, those type of dishes, I put the gloves on to keep the nail polish from getting into the food, because then you got to throw the dish out. Needless to say, that potato salad dish went to waste. You see how I kind of smush my hands? That's why you don't want to have them potatoes hot, because you'll end up with mashed potatoes. But we do want it kind of smushy. Oh, that looks like we got plenty of dressing in there. It'll be nice and juicy. One thing you don't want is, aside from fingernail polish in your potato salad, is you really don't want to have dry potato salad. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, and the potatoes are see, you're smushing them, but you want them to be able to still hold their shape. If you didn't, you could just whip them up with a blender, and that's not what we want. Okay, now I'm going to take these gloves off, but I'm going to save all that because that's all good stuff. We're going to put it in a container or a serving dish. And then I'm going to sprinkle some. Remember I said at the end we'll put some of that celery seed on top, because this dish is best if it's cold. So I like to make it the night before we're having a family get-together and let it sit overnight in the refrigerator, and all this flavor just meld together. And it's really makes it taste so much better. So when I do that, I sprinkle a little bit of that celery seed on top and let that kind of just sit there overnight with the rest of it. And it just comes together and you just taste one big flavor. That's outstanding. So let me take these gloves off. Let's see what dish we're going to put this in. Like I said, this is a much smaller amount of potato salad than I'm used to making. I don't even know what kind of dish to put it in. Let's try this one. Let me find back here. I think it'll all fit in this. I love these pull-out drawers. They didn't come with these cabinets. When we had these cabinets installed, we were not planning on living in this house. We were going to flip it, and so I just had just standard cabinets put in. And at my old house, I had those pull-out drawers. Once I decided I was going to live here, I decided to have them put in. Now, they put drawers, 2 drawers in this cabinet down here, 2 drawers in that cabinet, 1 drawer under the sink, a pull-out tab over here, and then these 2 little bitty things that really don't hold a whole lot of anything. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's about the width of 1 jar of peanut butter, and there's 3 shelves. $5 grand from Shelf Genie, but I still love them because they make life so much easier. Also, a thing too that I just saw, this titanium cutting board. It's supposed to cut down on the amount of plastics you're absorbing from your plastic cutting boards, but it's also not supposed to scratch. Now, I've used this twice, and if you can see the light right, there are scratch marks on it. So I'm not so sure that I believe that that is titanium, because titanium is a surgical material, and I just can't believe it would wear down that quickly. All right, so let's get us a spoon here, and let's get this potato salad out. What would be the best one? We might need a bigger bowl. Oh, it looks and feels just like it should. Just like my big batches do. When I make a batch for a family outing, this bowl wouldn't hold the mixture. Of course, all my children and grandchildren want to take them a dish home. Thank goodness, because if they didn't, I'd end up eating it all. And as you can see from the mayonnaise and the potatoes, not necessarily the best dish for your health. Although who knows nowadays what's good for your health and what's not. They tell you so much different bull crap on TV and on commercials and infomercials, and you can't trust Big Pharma any further than you can pick them up and throw them. Oh, that looks really good. Got lots of vegetables in there. Like I said, we're going to put this in the refrigerator and let it get everything mixed together and blend it. But I will pull a little bit out and put it on a bowl and give it a taste, because I need to know if I need to add anything to it. All right. Now I'm just going to put a little bit on this plate because, like I said, this is better when it sits overnight and gets cold. And my husband's still at work, so I don't want to have dinner and be full when he gets home from work. Now, as far as the celery that goes on top, just open up the little sprinkle side. And you just want to sprinkle it on it like you're sprinkling pepper. See that little bite that I took off my finger? I can taste the celery seed in it. So we don't need a whole lot in there. Like I said, when you're trying to downsize your dish, it's tough. And I surely do not want to ruin this dish because it looks delicious. I hope it's going to taste delicious too. Okay, I don't normally spread that out once I put the celery seed on top of it. I just let it sit there. I'm going to put a little bit on this. This is my tester plate. Since this is called Plating with Patsy, I guess I should put something on a plate, but we're putting it on a saucer right now. Alrighty, fork. Ooh, I might not have needed to sprinkle that celery seed on top. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, here's the deal. I can still taste the individual items in there. The egg, the potato, the celery. It all needs to come together. It tastes good. It has a good flavor, and it's going to be great. But it needs to set for a couple hours at least in the refrigerator. And even better if it sits overnight. So anyway, it's going to be great once it gets all gelled together. You could eat it this way, but I like it better when it's all blended. The flavors are all blended. I don't think I've ever really ate potato salad when it was still kind of warm. But with that being said, it's good. It tastes like my potato salad always tastes. So I think we did it right. I think we measured everything right. We're going to let that cool. I'm going to put a lid on that. Let it cool in the refrigerator. At least a couple of hours. Overnight's even better. With that being said, please give me a thumbs up if you like this recipe. Share this recipe. And subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Plating with Patsy. Over and out. Bye.